Taoist from Holland, author of 8 books. This is the last one. And I've been teaching people for 28 years how to make life simple, happy, and successful the Taoist way, which is the title of my book. That should be what? And I'm known from all kinds of US TV, radio shows, and of course your podcast. Yeah, and I love doing it. I could do it every day.
Welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here. You're going to be so glad you're here. I'm Kim Sorrelle. I'm a speaker and author. I get to do a lot of fun things in life, but my favorite thing to do is meet people. And I get to meet some of the most extraordinary, incredible people from around the globe. My guest today is from Holland, not Holland, Michigan, that I live near, but Holland, like the country, and, windmills and tulips and all of that stuff. And he's here with us today, and he has got some incredible things to share that are great things you're going to want to know, that are life-changing big moments that are going to happen today on the show. And so stick with us because this is going to be a great one. Gerard, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. So I want people to get to know you, and then they'll understand where you're coming from. And then you can just drop all the gold on us that you want to drop on us. So
Okay.
I'd like to start out with you. So I would like you to tell me about 8-year-old Gerard.
Well, I wasn't very popular. And at that moment, I didn't realize why. I was really slow. And yeah, I was bullied a lot because, yeah, well, the children didn't understand who I was. I was very tall. I was the tallest in my class. And well, I don't know why, but my teacher, we had a brand new teacher in the fifth, you call it the seventh grade, yeah. Was a new teacher, and obviously he saw something that I didn't realize at that moment, but I was dyslexic. And we had charts with language, Dutch language, math. And what he did is he just set me up, he put me in front of the class about 40 tasks. So then I didn't have any problem with that, but yeah, I was really slow. So the class slowly entered my level again, and then he put me back up front again. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know, but I was dyslexic, and that made me slow. From here to there, writing was very, very slow. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the computer was the answer for me because the computer, yeah, I'm pretty quick at the computer.
Yeah. Well, I would say you're pretty quick in general. You just thought you were slow back then because you didn't know what you had. You didn't know what you were dealing with. And
No.
and things have evolved a lot in our lifetime with dyslexia, and recognizing it first of all, and then the help that's available for it is so different than what it was years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
I
had to
had
be
very,
useful.
I had very old parents too, that didn't help anyway. Yeah. When I was born, my father was 59 years old and my mother was 44 years old. So there's a complete different generation. And they just, honestly, they didn't have a clue how to treat me, how to raise me. They didn't have a clue. I was the youngest of seven and a late bloomer in every level. Yeah. So they didn't have a clue. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would imagine with 7 kids, I have 5 kids, and when
Wow.
my third one came along, I just realized all bets are off. I'm outnumbered, we're outnumbered, so it doesn't matter. Just keep bringing the kids, I guess. I don't know, but to me, those years are kind of a blur. That when they're real little, when my kids were real little, because it's so busy and there's so much to do all the time, and so I imagine with 7 kids and their ages. I mean, that is,
Yeah,
I think I was a grandma by the time I was 44. So yeah, definitely different dynamic when you have
that
young
really,
parents
yeah, that
compared to older
really
parents.
defined my youth. Having such an old parents.
Mm, yeah.
Fortunately, my dad wasn't very clean either, and that didn't help me too because I got the name. Eh?
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
he wasn't very clean on himself. My mom was, but my dad wasn't, and yeah, it's probably that generation. But yeah, that didn't help me very much.
No,
I
uh-uh.
got bullied because he wasn't very clean, and that yeah,
Wow.
that
That's
really defined me in my youth. I really had to struggle away from that. Yeah.
wow. So
Well,
how did you struggle away from that?
yeah, well, I was a very lonely kid. I grew up very fast, much too fast. Started working when I was 11. Um, I was, yeah, these days they would call it HDID, but I just craved for attention that I didn't get, and that eventually turned into a situation that they put me in a foster home, in a home, the children's home, for about 1.5 year. And yeah, after I got out, I decided to be independent and to distance myself from them as much as possible. Obviously, I lived with my parents at that time, but I just led my own life. Started working in a paint factory at 11, and I loved it because I worked very hard. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I got independent very quickly, a little too quickly, I might add. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. While other kids are out playing baseball and soccer and
yeah,
whatever it is that they're doing, playing in the creek or the woods or whatever, you're working.
yeah.
That's a
Working.
lot. That's a lot for a kid. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, kind of a stolen youth, I guess.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
so then what though? Because here you are now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, um, my dad used to work in the harbor as a controller, and he said, "Well, you know what? I think that'll be good for you too." So they sent me to a harbor school. It's probably you would probably call it different, but I got 2 days education and 3 days work in the harbor, and I learned to drive um, forklifts, bulldozers. Yeah,
Yeah.
the big machines on the road with this the yeah. That's what I did. I learned to drive at 17 on bulldozers, 35 tons. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned a lot.
Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you were a hard worker. I'm sure
Yeah.
that at least you were appreciated at work, which
Oh yeah,
I,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's the place that I got my appreciation. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But after 2 years, I was really done with that. So yeah. So I started working in logistics for about 11 years or so, and then something really horrible that I will not be putting into details, but something really horrible happened to me. And after that, I started studying for accountant. Picked up 5 diplomas in 9 months. Yeah. Oh
Wow.
yeah, well, kickstukkend. And a few diplomas for the computer. And I started working as an bookkeeper. And in a few years, I had my own department. 16 people. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. This kid who thought he was slow is
Yeah.
now managing 16 people. I
Yeah.
mean, that's incredible. And the
Yeah.
certifications and things that you got in such a short amount of time.
And
That's
and don't forget,
that's not a slow kid. right?
And don't forget the dyslexic, huh?
Yeah, you're
Because
right.
I am dyslexic. But nevertheless, I was a financial interim manager.
Mm,
Yeah.
good for
And, I,
you.
and I'm done some pretty crazy things, huh?
Mhm.
Like I was telling a friend of mine this afternoon, I worked in a company that provided loans, and I was manager of 16 people. And at one moment, I walked down the hall in this company, and there's a guy who was really stressing out, and I said, "Yo, what's the problem?" Yeah, well, I'm panic, and well, this account is empty, the bank account is empty, and there needs to go money. And I said, what are you stressing about? Tell me what is wrong, and tell me what you need to be done. She says, well, there needs to be 400 million euros transferred from this account to that account. And I said, is that your issue? He says, yeah, panic problem. I said, well, that's not a problem. I've got it solved in 10 minutes. He says, you're crazy. It's impossible. I said, well, you want it fixed or not? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, now, you know what? Write down the bank account numbers and the names on it and tell me where to transfer the 400 million. We're talking about more than 30 years ago, eh?
Mhm.
400 million. And he wrote down the numbers, and I walked up to my desk. I called my account manager at ABN at the headquarters, and I said, Trace, your name is Trace. I said, babe, I've got a problem. And she says, well, tell me. I said, well, I have two bank accounts here, and I need to transfer 400 million from this account to that account. And she says, oh, it's no problem. She says, how soon do you want it? I said, 5 minutes ago. And she says, well, it'll be there for 5 minutes from now. And she says, I'll see the paperwork. I said, yes. You know how I am, Trace. You know who I am. No problem. You'll get the paper. So I printed printed the paper, so a payment paper, and I walked up to the director upstairs, the CEO. He signed it, didn't even look at it. He just signed it. Trust. And I walked up to the desk of the guy who was panicking and says, you know what? It's already there. And he says, what? You're crazy. It's impossible. I said, well, you know what? Start your computer and then we'll talk about impossible. Well, he started his computer and tells me this big eyes. And he says, how is this possible? He says, this is why I am the manager of 16 people and you're not. Because this is a real problem for you, but not for me. Yeah.
Right.
So enjoy your 400 million.
Wow.
Well, he stared at me for 3 weeks. You know, didn't
You thought you were Superman.
have a
You had no
clue.
idea that it was
Didn't,
possible.
didn't have a
Yeah.
clue. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a great way to manage people too, to keep them
Yeah.
calm and say, hey, this is
Well,
solvable. Let's just figure
the
out how
problem
to
for you, but
solve
not
the
for me.
problem.
Well,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
you want to solve it? Okay, give it to me. And
Yeah.
also, yeah.
That's good. Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
how did you get into what you're passionate about now and writing a book? I
Well,
mean,
as an interim manager, of course, you work for for all kinds of bureaus. They hire you to, do a management in all kinds of businesses. And at one moment, I was in a business meeting, and there was this little Thai guy, old guy already, and he kept staring at me, and I found that really annoying. And as soon as the business meeting was over, I walked up to him, and before I could say anything, he told me who I was, what my problems was, all kinds of things that I said, what? He says, yeah, that's your problem. And I know this is just course, and are you interested? She said, well, what do you think? Nobody ever talked to me like this, and nobody ever told me this, you know? So I took him home, and we talked for hours, or days, and he stayed with me for about 5 weeks, tested me completely, because, he had to find out if I was, qualified, able to learn what he had to learn. And after 5 weeks, he asked me if I wanted to learn this. And I said, you know what? What do you think? I've seen so many crazy things that you do. I just want to get to the bottom of this because, in my eyes, impossible, you know? And now I do it myself.
So you were the guy that you talked to, telling him, "No, it's possible. I can solve your problem." You were that guy saying, "This is impossible. What would
Yeah, well,
you do?"
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah.
all facial expressions and body language. And yeah, that's what I learned. Absolutely. And it goes really very far. And I hope I get invited in the coming months for some real television program where I can demonstrate the physical part of my treatment and can explain what your body tells you, because it tells you so much more than you think. It tells you everything: grief, fear, abuse, suppressed a religion. It tells you everything. Relationship problems, your body and your facial expressions tell everything. So I don't ever need to set a diagnose, because in 10 seconds I see what the issue is. Yeah, and that's what he learned me. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's absolutely incredible. That is so
Oh,
incredible.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So uh it almost sounds like it could be a party game, like test and or you could play poker. I don't know. Play poker and win a lot of money because you can tell who's bluffing. No?
No. I could, but no, I'm not a gambler. That's
Yeah.
not my thing. But yeah, I can tell if somebody's trying to screw me over. And I can, let me give you an example. I used to go out a lot. I love dancing. And at one moment, there was a beautiful girl who was looking at me, absolutely, obviously interested in me. But one look at her, and I said, oh no, sorry, no. And she was a second generation war victim. And I saw that in her face, in her attitude. So I immediately turned around, and she walked past me and hit on the next guy she could find. Then sorry, not me. So at that moment, I was very glad that I can read faces and read body language.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no kidding.
yeah,
It has to come in handy. I mean, it has to
oh,
be, I mean, what a gift. So,
yeah,
I would love to know more. Like, what do you look for, or what do you see? And apparently, instantly, you see things.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who are like this. You see the shoulders,
Hmm.
and that means that there's unresolved anger. Yeah, and um, you have a lot of people who do this, who constantly do this. Yeah, that's control. They're a control freak,
Oh,
and that's
interesting.
an issue. And when you see somebody, and when I talk to somebody and I see a lot of water in their eyes, I know there's grief. And that shows between your shoulder blades too. And it goes even that far that when I feel somebody's shoulder blade, I can even tell you how many years ago it happened to you.
Wow.
So, by example, when your mom died or so, 7 years ago, and you haven't processed it, you haven't got over it, it stays in your body, and you can feel that like a small iron wire. It stays in your body. So everything that you don't process and you don't get over stays in your body, and I can identify it and help people with that. Yeah. So you can divide your body into a left and a right side. The left side is your emotional side. So everything that goes wrong in your emotions, you see it on the left side of your body. And the right side is your analytical side. So your mind side, your thinking. So I often give women a very funny example. I say, you know what? When you found your man in bed with somebody else, I see a problem on the left side because you hate them. And when it's 3 years ago, it'll be on the right side because it will not be an emotion anymore, but it will still be in your system. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like an example. So your body says everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I,
Wow.
when I touch your body in certain places, I can see, okay, you're an inner greaser. You don't express your emotions, or even when somebody is very religiously raised, you see that the left side of their butt is completely cramped up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I
There,
don't know how you tell that by looking at somebody.
you can see it, you can feel it, you
Yeah.
can see it in your attitude, in the posture. And, there's a lot of women who have pelvis problems, and that says often that they're either abused sexually or mentally. And I've women who have this problem for decades, and with my treatment, it's gone in 2 sessions.
Wow. Wow. That's so incredible. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What you're saying, there's so much with our bodies that
Oh
we
yeah.
don't tap into, right? So
Yeah.
much more going on, like the energy and
Yeah.
frequencies and
Facial expression too, eh?
yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
So there's so
Yeah.
much.
I can
Yeah.
give you a funny example.
Okay.
Somebody is raised very religiously. They often wear glasses and have a very strict face, like a nanny, and it's not okay. That's not correct for them because they're often very soft-hearted people. But you see a very hard expression behind the glasses, and then there's a very fanatical religious upbringing that's not correct for them. That suppresses them. So you see everything. Your body and your face says everything. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So when you walk into a room full of people, do you right away what's going on with people and then you gravitate toward people that you want to talk to and away from people you don't want to talk to?
Well, the funny thing is, I do everything the other way around because when I have a business meeting, by example, I don't run up to all kinds of people. I just take a drink and place myself in the corner, and immediately people come to me.
Hmm.
The people that need me will come to me automatically. I don't have to push. I don't have to run. I don't have to, they come to me automatically. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So like a magnetic pull.
Yeah. Oh, it goes very far because some years ago I was in a club, and at one moment there was a guy came up to me and he stood next to me, and he stood there for about 10 minutes. We never exchanged one word. And a few months later, I see him in another club, and suddenly I hear him talking about me. He says, "You know what? This guy, unbelievable." So I get really curious, so I walk up to them and I hear what he's saying. He says, "You know what? A few months ago, I was really very depressed, and I stood 10 minutes on his side, and I've never been depressed anymore. Was completely gone, and we never exchanged the word." So I left, And I said, yeah, well, that's energy. So,
Yeah. Wow, that's so incredible. That is so incredible. And there are so many people that deal with so many different things, right? So to be able
yeah,
to help them in any way that you can is amazing, and be able to do it so quickly is just
yeah,
incredible. So what is the
I can
science,
do 2-day workshops.
you do 2-day workshops?
Yeah, yeah, I could heal people in 2-day workshops. And since there's 54 million adults in the US suffering from depression, I think I've got my work cut out. So,
Yeah, yeah. You've got to
it's great
almost,
to come to your country to help people.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Tomorrow I will have a conversation with a guy who might be able to organize it. But I had an exchange with mails with Barbie Engel. I don't know if you know who she is. She's the CEO from the I Pain Living Foundation, and I already suggested her that she could maybe organize one too. So
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that. I wrote an article. Well, she asked me to write an article about the real cause of depression and burnout, and it had to be between 700 and 1,000 words. So it is exactly 1,000 words. Yeah, that's the challenge I will absolutely accept. So I made it exactly 1,000 words.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun,
So I want to
Oh,
hear more about like what's behind it. So, you brought this guy home. You saw that he had this superpower, basically that
well,
you couldn't imagine, right? And
yeah, well, spoke up to some people and explained what their issues were and how to solve it. And I did something like, what? What? We were in a bar of a hotel, and there was an old couple who walked past us, and he said he called the woman over, and he says, "I see that you have cancer." Whoa, what? I almost dropped on my chair. What? What are you saying? And she says, "Yeah, that's correct." And he says, "You know what? If you do this and this and this, and it'll be over in a few weeks." I said, "Are you crazy? What the hell are you doing?" He says, "Well, I'm helping her. That's it. No more."
yeah,
So, I mean, well, we went home after, and I said, "Now you have to tell me what you see in there, what because this is absolutely unbelievable to me. What do you see? What makes you see that she has cancer?" And he says, "Yeah, it's all in the posture. Yeah, and you see it in the face, you see it in the hands. Yeah, and that's what he taught me during 7 years." And he went up and down to Thailand and back on my expense, of course, and because yeah, well, I worked as an interim manager, so I made a lot of money. 20,000 euros a month was no problem. So, and I had a big house, 3 levels. So he had his own room. So I asked him to come over and teach me. And so he did for about 7 years. And after about 5 years or so, I said, "You know what? I'm really happy that you're teaching me this, but you know, this is much too valuable to be locked up in a monastery. So I want to turn it into a real treatment. But well, to do that, I really need your approval because you're my teacher and you're the one who can decide best if I can do that or not." He says, "Well, he says, you know enough, and you're a great student, one of the best I had." And he says, "I will allow you to make it a treatment, but under one condition, you keep me out of it." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, I don't want you to talk to anybody about me because I don't want to become a tourist attraction." And yeah, and I immediately agree. He lives in he lived in a monastery. He's obviously passed away already because he was already very old at that time. Well, I mean, we're talking about 1997, and 2002 was the last time I saw him. So yeah, so there's no problem. And he came over a few times to check how I treated people. He obviously doesn't understand Dutch, but he does know what I'm doing. And of course, he sees what I do with energy because obviously I work with energy because I could never do my work without doing energy. Yeah. So, yeah. So he gave me his approval.
Wow.
In
Yeah.
2002, I went for a month to Thailand and did my end trials. And yeah, that was it. Then I was done.
Wow.
Now I'm allowed to teach people myself. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've not found anybody yet who has the discipline that it takes to learn this. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a bit of a disappointment. I tried many people, but yeah, no.
Okay, so I want to hear what's behind it. Like, what is it that you're doing? What's behind it? I guess is the question.
What's behind it? Well, what I basically do is unlearn behavior that we get taught every day, like fear, like worrying, like the feeling that we're not good enough, which almost everybody in this world feels, but it's not correct. It's not serving you. And this is the cause of burnout and depression because when you feel now that you're not good enough, you are going to step over your boundaries. You're trying to prove everybody that you are worthy. And well, that's just not going to work. And it's not a very big surprise that 63% of employees in the US suffer from burnout
What's
because they
that?
completely step over their boundaries.
Mm,
And I've been managing people in the company, in business for 21 years. And the one thing that I learned is to make sure that people are enjoying their work
mm,
and stop pushing and let them stop pushing. Because, the one thing I taught in business is when you make people enjoy their work and their environment again, they automatically work harder.
it's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, yeah, it's true.
That,
That's so interesting because there's this other whole mentality, right? That work harder, work harder, work harder, work more hours, be the first one there, last one to leave. This
yeah.
whole mentality, but yeah, after a while, you're
It destroys you. It absolutely destroys you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing is, we learned some management system. It's called the balance scorecard. It still makes me laugh. That's something that was invented in the US and implemented in 30 companies. And what is the balance scorecard? The balance scorecard is they measure what you do during a day, and afterwards they're going to demand that you do this every day. But they forget the most important thing: you're not working with robots, you're working with people. And sorry, but when your mom died, you're not going to produce the same thing that you did 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
So after a few years, I heard that all the 30 companies in the US that they implemented the balanced scorecard were all bankrupt.
Oh, oh, geez. Yeah. So not a great implementation of
No,
style
because
leadership.
it
Yeah.
teaches you to push people. You know, you
Hmm.
have to use this every day.
Yeah.
That's not going to work because I mean, you're not the same person every day and you're not motivated every day the same. Like I
Right.
said, your mom died yesterday. you're not going to produce the same thing you did 3 weeks ago because you're in grief. You have to process that, and the last thing on your mind is your work. You know, when something like that happens, it hits you. It does something with your mind, so you will not produce the same. And
Yeah.
when you want people to still produce the same, you're destroying them. It's not going to work.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good point. That's so true. The empathy, the sympathy, the whatever, the compassion that needs to be there
Yeah,
sometimes is lacking. But it is about humanity. And we need to remember that we're dealing with humans, not robots. I love it that you said that
yeah,
because,
yeah,
the same grace that I want extended to me, I need to extend to other people. And
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I've been managing people for 21 years as a manager, and I always had the best producing departments. And nobody understood because we had music on the background, we made jokes, we talked to each other, but everybody was enjoying their work, and I made them enjoy their work. Yeah, and I taught them certain things that made their work easier. One day I was behind the computer working with Excel, and one of my employees walked past me and she says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, this is Excel. Don't you know it?" "No, no, I have no idea." I said, "You know what? During your lunch break, come to me and I will show you a few things. And, you know, we'll see what happens." So I showed them the basic of Excel. And I says, "You know what? The coming few days, just experiment a bit. Yeah. And when you get a little bit of feeling about Excel, I'm going to come to you and we're going to find out how we can implement it in your work." I saved her 3.5 hours of work by implementing Excel into her work.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Saved her 3.5 hours work. So she didn't have to work harder. She had worked smarter by
Right.
using the tools that there are here. And Excel is a great tool. And what a lot of people don't know, a lot of people and employees either, is that Word and Excel, you can copy and paste things from every accounting software, whatever you want. You can copy and paste it in Word, you can copy and paste it in Excel, and they don't know. But when you do, you save a lot of time.
Right. Right.
You don't
Right.
have to work
Doing it all
harder,
over
you
again.
have to
Yeah.
work smarter and
Yeah.
enjoy your work more. Yeah,
So true. So true. Yeah. Yeah. I think worldwide, in and outside of work, we need to extend compassion to people and be a
yeah,
little more empathetic. I remember after my mom died, actually brought up mom dying a few times. My mom died years ago, but
yeah,
after she died, I remember being in the grocery store. And I had little kids, like I had to feed my family. So of course I'm at
yeah.
the grocery store. I mean, but it felt
You are.
so weird to be doing something that was so normal the week before, a couple weeks before, and now felt so strange. And I
Yeah,
had a cart full of groceries, and I couldn't stay at the grocery store anymore. I left my cart and I went and got in my car and drove home. Like I just couldn't do it. And I remember
yeah.
looking around at people thinking, nobody knows how much I'm hurting right now.
Well,
Nobody knows, right?
I would see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, you would know, but most people would not know. And
No,
and
they so don't see.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I think of that, and I think we need to think about that. If somebody cuts you off in traffic or runs into you with their shopping cart, whatever it is, well, who knows what they're going through?
yeah.
Who knows what kind of a day they're having? Besides you, of course, but yeah,
Well, this morning it hit me that you know what? There should be a class in high school about facial expression and body language because when I could teach youngsters about this, they would make a lot better judgments and decisions in their life. Like I said, with the relationships, there's so many people, so many women who get relationships with the wrong guy because see. They don't see. You know, a lot of women go for the popular guy, but what they're forgetting is the popular guy is demanding all the attention. But the guy who is standing next to him, he will give you all the attention.
Good point. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so true. That's a good point. It
All
would be
about
so
facial
interesting.
expression and body
Yeah,
language.
yeah.
Because the guy
Wait.
who will treat you like a queen, he doesn't have to prove himself to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to step up to the ground to the stage and show how important he is because he doesn't care. You know, he cares about you. He wants to be and wants to make you important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, as a single woman, my husband died several years ago, and so as a single woman, I would love for you to tell me, what do I look for in facial expression and body language? Just
Well,
have,
you have very open eyes. And that's a good sign. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but yeah, well, um, it's hard to just say from you need that kind of guy, But it's all about facial expressions and body language because chemistry you can't push. There's a lot of guys out there who are teaching guys to date as much women as he can. I've in Holland too. We have a few people who do that, and they all have the same message to guys. They all say, you have to date 100 women to get five in bed, and you know I've been through a few of these courses just to see what's the issue here. What do these guys have for problems? Well, they all have the same problem. They all have fear, so they don't dare to talk to you, and they all have the feeling that they're not good enough. And they just don't do anything about that. They just teach them to date as much women as you can. But the problem is, and after after hearing it for the third time in another course, it really pissed me off a little. And I asked this guy who said this, but you know what? When I date 100 women and I get five in bed, when will I find the real one? And they don't have an answer to that.
mm,
Of course not, because you're shooting a gun to a mosquito. You know,
right.
that's not the way to find the real one. The real one is all about facial expressions and body language. Like what I do in a business meeting. I just stand in the corner with my soda and I just wait. You know, I was in a club once and there was a guy in front of me trying to get the women to like him, and what he was dancing with a girl, and he was trying everything to get her attention, to make out with him, etc., etc. And he did that for about 45 minutes or so. And after 45 minutes, there was a really young girl who came up to me, and you're gonna laugh now, eh? So funny situation. She was about 23 or so, and I'm 61, eh? She was about 10, 23, and she came up to me. She introduced herself, and within 5 seconds, we started kissing. And the guy in front of me was, "What are you doing?" And I said, "You know what? Sometimes you don't need to talk, you just need to kiss." And he was completely flabbergasted because he was trying for 45 minutes to get the woman to kiss him, and she didn't want him. And he didn't see that. She was not interested. And that's about body language. And her body language says fuck off. And he couldn't get it. He just didn't get it. So that's why I say this should be a class in high school so that everybody understands what it is about and they start seeing more things around them and make better judgments. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's so interesting because it sounds like to me that if you had a willing student, you could teach this. Like this isn't something that you have to be born with a certain whatever to do or whatever, but it's something you learn that you
It's
can.
a part of consciousness. It's a growing your consciousness. You know, most people are like this. They don't see anything. But when you know about body language and I've a course for you men to find the right woman, and it's all about body language and facial expressions. When the woman is interested in you, you will see it. But that takes knowing about facial expressions and body language. There's
Yeah,
a lot of things that you can see. When she's
yeah,
interested, you see it.
yeah. Oh my
But
gosh. So
people,
right, exactly, exactly. Right.
uh,
Yeah, the
yeah,
world I think is so much bigger than we realize, right? I mean, our world is so much bigger than we realize, and there's so much more going on than we often pay attention to. And
yeah.
so to kind of hone in and pay some attention to some other things besides what,
There are so many signs that you can see, and if you understand what these signs mean, you don't have to date 100 women to find the right one. You will date one, and that'll be the right one.
yeah,
Yeah. In
wow,
this where I used to come, sometimes there was a woman walked up to me and says, "What are you doing here?" Well, dancing, talking to my friends. And she says, "Don't you want to make out with a woman?" No. But what are you doing here anyway? And if you're not interested in women, I said, no, I didn't say I wasn't interested in women. I says I'm not going to run after all women. I don't want any all women. I want one and the right one. And they just don't understand. They don't understand that I don't run after every woman in that club and try to make out with her. Well, sorry, but that doesn't work.
right, right,
It
right.
doesn't work.
No, in fact, I
It
think
will
it
only
has the
work.
opposite effect than what you're hoping
Well,
because
I'm just looking around and trying to find the right, the right attention. Because when a woman is interested, trust me, I'll see it. And
yeah,
then I don't have to do any tricks or you know what? I'll only have to walk up to her and maybe within 5 seconds we are kissing, make it out.
yeah,
There's chemistry here. There's attention. We recognize each other. And when you recognize each other, you don't have to do a lot of things. It'll go automatically. Yeah. You
yeah.
don't use all kinds of techniques to get her because it'll happen automatically. And that's how it should be. Yeah.
Mm. It is how
But
it should be, just so
it's
much
all
more
about expression.
natural and yeah,
It's
right.
all about facial expressions. And if you understand the right expression, you know, let me give you a funny example. When you talk to a woman and she licks her lips, kiss her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a sign. It's a sure
That's
sign.
something that women do automatically, unconsciously, and that's the second that they want to be kissed.
Mm. That's so
They
funny.
don't have a clue. The women themselves don't understand that they're doing this, but this is happening unconsciously, yeah? And this is one of the signs.
Yeah.
When you talk to a woman and she licks her lips, you can kiss her. No need to talk further. Kiss her.
Wow, that's so
That's
interesting.
that's
What
what
are,
she's. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, but this translates to business, it translates to everything, right? It
Everything.
translates to
Yeah,
who
everything.
you want to be friends with and who you want to hang out with and what your
Yeah.
neighbor's thinking
Who
and
you
what
want to hire?
so I would imagine too, it changes your approach to people,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And in changing your approach to people, other people will then hopefully change. Like, hopefully, if they're living in anger or living in grief or living in depression or
Yeah.
whatever, and you treat them not as if they have some sort of disease and you just need to be away from that, but instead be empathetic,
Well,
be there for them. I mean,
it
they're,
happened. It happened to me in the past that I was somewhere, anywhere, and I talked to somebody, and then my ex-wife asked me, "Who is that?" I says, that was the cleaner from the company I worked with. The cleaner? Yeah. And then she had something like, "Why should you talk to the cleaner?" Well, why shouldn't I talk to the cleaner? Because he's also a human being and he likes to be a cleaner. Because we're not all made to be the CEO of a company. And as soon as you realize that you don't want to be that CEO and you don't want that responsibility, then you can stop trying to be that one and be yourself because that's much more important.
yeah,
Enjoy work is the most important thing. And if you don't enjoy your work, go away, find work that you do enjoy.
yeah, yeah. So true. I mean, it gets depressing in a hurry when it's you begrudge getting up in the morning and you don't want to make that drive into the office or you don't want to turn on your computer or whatever. It's a hard life. I mean, and I would think too that not liking your work would carry over into other areas of your life.
Yeah. And you know what? There was somebody researched all kinds of managers, and they found out that 75% of the Dutch managers are not qualified to be a manager. They don't have a clue how to be a manager. And what I always tell people, there's a very big difference between a boss and a manager. A boss will tell you what to do. A manager will stimulate you to be the best you can be. And that's a huge difference because the boss will push you and a manager will never push you. Not a good one. And that's exactly why I always had the best producing department because everybody enjoyed themselves. And when there was a problem, I could easily solve it for them, you know?
Mm, right, right. Don't have to get all upset about it and worry and fret over it and lose sleep and some of the things that happen, right, with people. So yeah.
Well, most people worry all day, but they don't understand that when you worry all day, there's no room for enjoyment
Mm, yeah, true. Right.
because we learned, we got our thinking, our mind, to learn new things, to understand new things, and to control new things. But you only do that 1% a day. You don't have to learn to drive every day. You learn it once and then it becomes an automatic action. You don't
Mm,
have to think about driving anymore. It goes automatically, and that's how it should be. You learn something and then you implement it, and it becomes an unconscious action. And that's how we should be using our mind, not worry 24/7. Because you know what? 99% of the things that we do every day, we have been doing it for dozens of days, of dozens of years, dozens of months. Why should you think about that?
right, 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 right. Well, and worry doesn't get you anywhere. It's so counterproductive. And
Yeah.
why worry? And I've also heard, I don't remember what the statistic is, you may know, but the things that people worry about never come to fruition.
Well, the problem is when you worry, you create fear. And when you fear, you attract what you fear. And what people don't understand, and that's one of the things that I teach people, you know, when you fear something, you unconsciously attract that fear because you need to unlearn it. So not walk away from it. run like hell. No, unlearn that fear and realize that it's not okay. It's not normal. It's not normal to be afraid of spiders, but when you're afraid of spiders, you will see that your complete house will be filled with spiders.
Mm.
And that's the lesson. The lesson is unlearn. Realize that a spider is this big and completely harmless. And when you really realize that, your fear is gone. And you will see that there's no spider in your house anymore. Because when you don't fear anymore, you don't have to be confronted with your fear anymore. You know,
Yeah.
that's why
Interesting.
we automatically create what we fear. And when we learn our lesson, we don't have to be confronted with that fear anymore. One of your colleagues, she said, I live in Colorado and we have huge snakes and I am very afraid of snakes. So I said, do you realize that a snake is blind? What? I said, yeah. Do you realize that a snake is blind? That's why he does that thing with his tongue, because he's tasting his environment and he doesn't see you, he sees two tree stems. And when you don't move those two tree stems, it will just slide on. It'll do nothing. But when you move, he will feel attacked and then he will attack you. So realize that this is the lesson. Realize that a snake is blind, and when you're confronted with a snake, just stand still, and he will just move on. And he says, "Wow, that's something I should really implement in here." I said, "Yeah, you better, because when you're in Colorado, the forest, the jungle, there are snakes."
Right, right, right. You can't help it. They're going to be there. So, this is so interesting. And the whole unlearning, like, yeah, spiders are only this big. Like, there's no reason to fear spiders I've been on a plane before with someone who's just so afraid to fly. And I just always say, do you know how many hours and hours and hours of training the pilots have had? Like, unbelievable. And they have to be tested every year. And the airplanes are tested all the time and mechanics are always working and
Yeah.
whatever. And so, yeah, like if you can put it into perspective, really kind of is what it is, right?
Well, we learned fear ages ago. And why did we learn fear? Well, because at that moment we were living in the jungle and there were huge animals who wanted us for breakfast. But I don't know how it is in your country or in your city, but I don't see bears and tigers on the streets anymore. Not
No,
even in my mind.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
7-year-old daughter, I teach her how to approach a dog because a lot of people have no idea how you do. They walk up to the dog and they want to grab him, pet him, but that's an aggressive act in the eyes of a dog. You know, when you put your hand like this and let him sniff, then you know enough. Because two things can happen. Either he will start wiggling and you can pet him, or his tail will go up, stand still, and then just turn around and walk away.
Yeah. Right.
It's
Yeah.
easy. And that's with a lot of animals like this, eh?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So true. So true.
The animals that we have in our world at this time are not the animals that were there 500, 600 years ago. You know,
Right. Right.
I
Right.
just saw a little film on Instagram of a safari, and there was a lioness who jumped into the car and started petting everybody. And everybody could pet her. Nothing wrong. You know,
Oh, funny. Yeah.
animals just don't attack for no reason. They
Hmm.
attack when they feel attacked, when they feel threatened. And when you don't threaten an animal, he will not attack you.
I think people are the same. People don't attack unless they feel threatened, right?
Well, fear is fight or fleeing, but there's another way, and that's disarming. Yeah, and that's what I teach people. When somebody in the street walks up to you and starts screaming at you, we learn to flee or to fight. But there's another way. You can also ask him, sorry, but who are you? And then you will get a completely different reaction because the other person will not know what to do. And you disarm the situation. And
Mm,
that's what I teach people. Realize that this guy is having a very, very bad day and you didn't cause it. So why should you attract this? Yeah. Why should you, fight him or flee from him? Yeah.
right,
I
right.
had I had a woman under treatment, and she told me that she had a boss who was completely bullying her, shouting, calling her names, and then she resigned and started working at another company. And I told her, why didn't you ask him why he's doing this? And she was completely flabbergasted. I said, you know what? You should have asked him why he does this to you. What is your problem? Because I don't understand. Yeah. And I told her, when I have a situation like this, you know what I say to him? I say, you must have such an incredible, horrible life that you're acting like this to me. I'm very sorry for you. And you know what happens? You'll start crying and be my best friend after that.
Mm,
And
mm,
that's disarming.
mm. Such
Don't
great advice.
don't fight him, don't flee for him, but disarm him.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
take it personally
yeah.
because you're not the cause of his anger.
Oh my gosh, that's such good advice. That is such good advice because it could be
That's
easy. It can be
that's
easy
what
if somebody approaches you with anger to immediately get angry, right? And so, yeah, so to stay calm and disarm.
and humor. Humor is an incredible weapon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read an article in a newspaper that there was somebody who was trying to rob a store with a gun, and everybody just laughed at him, and he ran off.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, wow. Yeah,
that, that's how it works.
yeah,
If if you're not impressed and you're not afraid, he'll just run off,
mm,
and he will rob nothing.
yeah.
Because he's much more scared than you are, because he has to take the initiative to rob. And trust me, that takes a lot of fear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I would imagine. I mean, and fear for days. I mean, it's not like just in the moment, but then you're afraid of getting caught and you're afraid.
This is the
Yeah.
things unlearn people during the workshops. You know,
Mm.
workshops are in fact a treatment. Only I developed this treatment in such a way that you don't have to say anything about your situation. That's the benefit of facial expressions and body language. You don't have to tell me what your problem is because I already see it. Yeah. So nobody has to tell me their situation, what they've been through, etc., etc. I just explain all kinds of life processes, and you will recognize your life, and you
Wow.
will realize that some of the things that you learned are actually very silly.
Mm. Yeah. Right. 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 Yeah. I think that's true.
You realize this,
Mhm.
it's already gone.
Yeah.
It's
Changes everything. Yeah.
the, that you
Yeah.
realize what I tell you to your issue, to your problem, to your life, it's already gone.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to go out on a limb here, Gerard, and I'm going to ask you what my face says to you.
Yeah. Well, you're much too kind. And there are people who abuse that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And your shoulders are too high.
I don't know if they can go any lower.
Well, they should be. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
I only see this, eh? So,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So
but
you
you have,
think I'm much too kind and there are people that abuse it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Too
Yeah.
kind. And people, some people will walk over you because they no respect.
Mm.
Too
Yeah.
soft.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I actually, but I would rather live that way. I'd rather err on the side of kindness
Yeah.
and be kind to everybody. And if people don't accept your kindness, that's on them, right? You don't control anybody, you only control yourself. So
Move
I,
can make sure that you're grounded properly.
yeah,
Because when you're grounded properly, people will not abuse it anymore. They will then you'll create respect.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That's good.
Now it's not because I'm a very big guy that I demand respect. It's my attitude.
Mhm.
And that's everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's everything. And I already teach my little girl, because when we're in a restaurant and she wants a drink, I say, okay, ask the waitress. Yeah. I'm
Hmm.
not going to ask it for you. You need to ask it because you need to get confidence.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Right.
that's what I do with my little girl too. This is the one here. I'm already teaching her to stand up for herself. And her mom doesn't, eh? Her mom doesn't. She
Yeah.
complains to me that she's not allowed to wear nice clothes, beautiful clothes. She cannot pick it. She cannot tell what she wants to eat. Her mom decides everything, and I do it completely the other way around.
Mm.
When I go to a shop, I say, okay, see what you like, and you pick it. And if I see something I like, I ask her, what do you think of this? You like it? Yeah? Should I buy it? Yeah? Oh, okay, then I'll buy it. Create confidence. It's so,
Mhm. So important. So important for sure. Oh
and
my,
especially make
this
her
is,
feel wanted.
yeah, I feel like I could talk to you for hours. And I feel like there's so much more about you to know and so much more about everything to know. And we're out of time. And so this is what I want to do is I would love for you to tell people how they can contact you, how they can reach out to you.
Well, I have a website. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on X. I'm everywhere. Yeah, and of
Yep.
course, book. There's the book is here. It's on Amazon, and yeah,
Yeah.
uh, I
We'll
know.
have all of it in the show notes. So anybody can just click and go on anything that they want to.
I don't know if you have my website. Maybe I can put it in the chat and you can give it to people.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so thank you so much. This has really been great. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the conversation. It was very
Oh,
interesting.
let's do it again.
Yeah, I would do it again in a heartbeat. So yeah, let's stay in touch.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
thank you. Yeah. And thank you, everybody else. Thank you for being here today. I hope you got some really interesting things out of it. This was so
Yeah,
fun. What a fun conversation.
yeah.
And I just pray that until we see each other again, that you keep your heart open and you live your love loud.